Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're having a look at positive thinking and whether a positive outlook is enough to call in whatever it is that we're manifesting. So I know on my personal journey anyway, anything that I am manifesting does come more easily when I am having a more kind of dominant positive way of thinking and not really kind of focusing too much on what it is that I am manifesting. I may have an affirmation, a umbrella affirmation or a general affirmation that kind of covers whatever it is that I desire to experience. So I know this question was put to me about whether we can, if we continue to show up in this way where our mindset is dominantly positive, is it enough to call in our manifestations? So from my experience anyway, as I say, I do tend to keep more things general for the simple reason is that I've tried the kind of focused robotic environment. I've tried the just continuing to have a mental diet and what I am manifesting. And when I keep things more general, I don't get as much anxiety about it. I connect to it more. And for me, it kind of calls in a lot quicker rather than focusing too much on it. I find that when I focus too much on it, I was becoming too maybe obsessed with it. And it was actually going in the opposite direction for me. Now, that is just me. Maybe it's something to do with my subconscious mind and the way that things work for me. However, I have found that when I actually keep things general, it is more of an easier process for me and it's easier for me to call in whatever it is that I want to manifest. So when we're actually looking at it from this perspective, from my journey anyway, I don't want to come on and have this kind of misconception that just keep your mind positive and everything will be grand, because we are human and we're living in a 3D reality in a world as well that has a lot of things that are, going on that are not desirable. And our mind is open to it in ways, even if we're someone who doesn't watch the news, even if we're someone who, limits our time on social media, we're still in some way going to hear something that is not going to be desirable because of all the unfortunate things that have been going on in the world. So that's just a kind of a reality perception there. But coming into the idea then of manifesting and coming into the knowing that we are actually the ones that create whatever it is that we are wanting to create in our life. And when we don't have this kind of knowing, we will allow for outside information to come in, for outside opinions and outside suggestions to come in and kind of tell us how it is for us. And that's kind of not the way that we go forward when we're manifesting. So talking about having a positive mindset 24/7, for me anyway, is unrealistic to say. And so I can't really come on and say that, from my perception anyway, that just keeping your mind positive 24/7 is enough to call in whatever it is that you want. Now, with that being said, having a positive mindset is the best way to change the neurons in your brain. So our subconscious mind is obviously filled up with a lot of things over our life, from the things that we have experienced, from the idea of not actually knowing that we can retrain our mind into thinking a better way. Sometimes when we are beginners and we get into understanding this, we may actually put ourselves through a little period of trauma because we're trying to tell ourselves something positive while not actually acknowledging what's going on that is negative, maybe in our circumstances, maybe in our heart, maybe in our soul. And we're pushing it all down. And that is kind of a little bit toxic when it comes to changing our mindset. And so it has to be done in a more of a healthier kind of way. So when it comes to whatever it is that we're manifesting, I do find that the general works for me. However, being specific is important as well too. And being specific does not mean that you have to have everything perfect down on, your list. I mean, you can, that works as well too. But it just means that you have a general direction and knowing of exactly what it is that you want. It's a clarity. So when we come on and anyone who talks about specifics about things of what it is that they're manifesting, it's a clarity, it's a clear mind of a knowing. So this means that if we have a clear mind and a knowing within, it means that we don't have to be positive 24/7. While I don't want to, come on and say don't be positive, of course be positive, but I mean that we're human, and I know myself, like I'm not positive 24/7. Some days I am, some days I get a good clean run of positivity. Most days actually it is a good clear run of positivity because of where I am in my journey now, and because of how quickly my mind actually redirects to the positive now. But when I first started, it was not like that. I was, suppressing everything down, trying to keep my mental diet on check. I found myself actually pushing things down that I shouldn't have been pushing down because I was thinking that I had to have a positive outlook the whole time in order for me to manifest. Meant that if I got a negative thought, I was feeling guilty, I was angry, I was frustrated with myself. If a little tiny negative thought got into my mind, I would be just beating myself up, and that's not the way to go. So when we are looking at anything from a positive outlook, we want to have a healthy balance to knowing that, okay, sometimes I may have a little bit of self-doubt, but it's what I do with that self-doubt that matters. If I dwell on it, obviously then that's what I'm going to create. But if I catch it and I'm aware of it, I can nurture myself through it. We all do have an inner child, and that inner child has to be nurtured and nourished as well in a way that is healthy towards whatever it is that we're manifesting. Because when we're manifesting something in, we want to have the mentality and the stability and the self-worth and the groundedness within ourselves to sustain it. And I think that it can be a misconception to think that there is never going to be anything that could go wrong. Like, for example, if you are manifesting a partner, and while it's great and everything to have great loving relationship, but there are things that may come along at the path of that loving relationship that, there's disagreements, and those disagreements are just part of growth. It doesn't mean that we are being negative. It's just part of the evolution, I suppose, of the relationship. So when we have that kind of awareness that, okay, some things come along that are negative, but they're not a part of who I am, because who I am is all love, all bliss, all joy, all abundance. And so when I find myself falling into this kind of negativity or spiral or anything like that, I catch myself and I say to myself, okay, all I have to do is nurture myself right now. Do self-regulation, bring myself back into a kind of good feeling space before I start thinking in a positive outlook way. Before I start trying to force myself into this positive outlook, I have to get back into the right energy for myself, because when you have to get back into the right energy for yourself, you are showing yourself that you love yourself that much that you're not going to suppress any emotions down. I mean, I think it is a little unrealistic to say that we're never going to have negative emotions again just because we have a positive outlook on something. But however, having a continuous positive outlook on something is what actually pulls us through the emotions, because we know that we can do the self-regulation and bring our energy back, and then come back in and say, okay, well, this happened, so it means that it's going in this direction now. It means that I just have to reevaluate things a little bit here. It just means that I have to maybe think in a little bit of a different way in order to get to the destination, or essentially whatever it is that I am calling in. Remember, it is not about being positive 24/7. While it would be so amazing to be positive 24/7, and once you start on this journey and you actually do all of this kind of, self-regulation, and you do rewire your brain in these ways, most of your days are always going to be positive. But it doesn't mean that little things might not come along the way, but because of the way that you are aware of these little things, you overcome them more with the positivity that is being ingrained within you. And so the negative assumptions, the self-doubt, and all of that comes along is going to dissipate a lot quicker because you're not dwelling on it. So remember, it's not about suppressing things down and forcing ourselves to have a positive outlook all the time. in order to experience what it is that we want. Whatever it is that you are manifesting, you have that desire within your heart. So it means that it is for you, and it'll come to you in a way that is, in the best way for you. But it'll also come to you even on times when you have self-doubt, because it's a truth for you, it's a desire. So it's just to keep that kind of knowing within yourself that all is within, and that knowing is built through the faith and the trust that you put within yourself in how you can maintain and sustain yourself in a healthy way in anything that comes along that may knock you off your positive path for a few seconds or whatever. So I just thought I'd do a video on that, and I will chat to you soon.